welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having us, Dawn.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Sam, just to let people know my voice.
Yeah, and I'm Caitlin, and we have our podcast, The Crime Pod. So thank you for having us on this. We're really excited to tell you a story. Well, I'm not, Sam is, but yeah, just here to listen as well.
I love listening to your episodes. Either one of you tell the story, isn't it? That's how you do it.
Mm.
Oh, I like that. It was always me. I was always the one when I did it with my sister that told the story, and she just interjected now and again.
Yeah.
It's nice to just be able to sit back.
It's nice, I know. When we first started, we didn't do it like that. I don't know, like our very old episodes, we used to do like half of it each almost, which was really good, but then it was so hard if you were doing the second part of the research that some of it wouldn't make sense, and there'd be bits that you're like, oh, have you covered that, have I covered that? And then actually it's quite nice sometimes going into the cases completely blind, so your opinions aren't rehearsed, they aren't already pre-thought. So that's how we kind of do it, which I think works better for us. You know, it's been what we've done the last kind of 3 years, so we do enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely. I used to do that with my sister. I used to do all the research. She would read it out and I'd have to pretend I didn't know what was happening. It's just so fake.
Yeah, I've never heard this before in my life.
That didn't work.
One thing with Caitlin and I is, so because we do like an episode each week, like one each, like if you become a listener of ours, you will know none of it is rehearsed, because we do not have a clue what is happening. They're like, oh, have you heard of this very well-known case before? And we're like, nope, never before. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I hate getting asked that question. Have you heard of this? No.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a really bad person. But yeah, it's not true. You guys, I listen to your podcast and you are so slick. I mean, you're so good. There's not very many you just know what you're doing and you just tell the story. I'm like a repetition. I make mistakes all the time, but you're just so good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We've got boosting our egos way too much.
We definitely have got better. Some of the older episodes, the amount of editing they took, but now we don't really edit much, to be fair, which you probably do here when we're saying
we've given up.
No, you don't hear it. It's really good. When you said to me, is record it on Skype and then you just edit it, I was like, Christ, how is it so good?
I know that's where it's hard, because we have looked for other things as well. But yeah, this isn't Sam and I's job. Like, we work, we have our lives, and then we did this as a lockdown project, as everyone had a lockdown project, and we didn't expect it to be where it is. And like, you know, the fact we're off to like CrimeCon in a couple of weeks, we're still so not understanding how we've been invited. Like, we're waiting to turn up on the day and then be like, oh no, sorry, that was a mistake, because we don't understand how these people, you know. And we've got people, as Sam was saying in our couple of episodes ago, we've got fans in like Canada and stuff, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
That's so cool.
But it's good.
Oh, you're going to love CrimeCon.
Oh, I'm
it's
so
really
excited.
Cool.
We are so excited to go.
And then we'll get to meet you in person as well, because you're going, aren't you?
We're going as well. Yeah, my sister's coming
so
too.
Good. Yeah, it'll be nice. Hopefully we're next to each other, stall-wise, and we can chat away.
It'll be good to know our face.
A few of us.
Yeah.
It's all changed since I started going a few years ago. Everybody seems to have... It's all changed. Everybody's changed. So it's like a nice new group kind of coming in.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
We've spoken to another couple of podcasters that are going, and then obviously we've seen like the plans of how the day is going to look and stuff. And I couldn't believe how much is going on and how many different stalls and everything there are. So like a lot of the time it'll be so good being at our stall, but I also want to go and do so much as well. So I feel like we're going to have to keep being like, right, you man the stall, off you go, because there's so many things I want to do and want to see.
CSI.
But I'm like, I need to actually
CSI. That's CSI all I keep going on about. That's why I'm there. It's now on Netflix. It's on I'm obsessed.
Just so excited for it, honestly.
Yep.
No, it's really good. Glasgow's not better than London, but it's more intimate. So you get to, you get, of course
it is.
It's more intimate, so you get to go to everything. You don't have to, whereas in London, you do have to miss out on some things, but this way you get to see everything.
Yeah. And I think the Scottish kind of crime podcast community, we're not huge, so that's what's actually quite nice, is all the names that were released, but we know them, so it's not actually, which is quite nice, but it's people again we've never met, but we listen to them and we know their voices. Like even when we joined this call with you, I knew your voice instantly, but I've never met you, we've never spoken in person. It's just because I listened to your voice.
It's mad, isn't it? Because like when you first go and you see them in person, and it's just like, this is so weird. I listen to you in my ears,
and then it's that like, that's not what I thought you looked like, that's not what your voice looks like.
Yes. I am hopeless hopeless at guessing what people look like.
No idea.
I'll never get it right.
No idea.
It'll be good. So why did you start off doing just Scottish cases and then move on to other ones as well? Why did you decide to do that?
We
Just
got
curious.
a lot of recommendations, to be fair. Like, people would recommend cases, and that's when it started that the majority of the cases were England that were recommended. And a lot of the time we were having to then say, like, oh no, we just cover Scotland, or we'd be interested in a case. Like, I think one of the first like UK cases we covered was the Murders of Holly and Jessica, and that was really a case that we were both quite interested in, but all that was stopping us doing it was because it was in England. So we were like, actually, why don't we look at not just England but Wales, Northern Ireland, and actually kind of branch out a little bit? And it seemed to go well. Like, people are still interested. We like to cover as much Scottish as we can. However, Scotland isn't that big a place. Do you know, we aren't as the same size as the rest of the UK. So
we're running out of murderers.
Yes, are no.
We need a new serial killer up here. But no, that was kind of the main thing. I don't know about you, Sam, but I think it was like people kept asking us, and I felt like it was a shame to keep saying no just for that reason. And we didn't, do you know, with your podcast, it is clearly a Scottish podcast, whereas we never kind of simply said it had to be that. So we thought, well, actually, why not? And I know we've branched a couple of times even out to like America or whatnot on special occasions, but I think UK is where we're quite content. I think kind of going any further than that and we would never, you know, if we tried to cover American cases all the time, we'd never
be here
stop.
all day.
Yeah,
I know,
like you wouldn't even know where
exactly.
to start. And I think they have a lot more like coverings already. So but that's my opinion, Sam. I don't know if yours is the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was as well lockdown. Caitlin was like, oh, do you listen to, because we kind of like not rekindled our friendship. We've been friends since we were like 7, but we started talking properly again. And like, she was like, do you listen to crime podcasts? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you want to do one? And I was like, okay. And then like 4 years later, here I am, still stuck with Caitlin. So here we are.
Sam is that friend that everyone needs a Sam, because you can ask Sam the most bizarre thing and she'll just be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Sure, like I'll give it a try. So I felt out of all the friends
that.
who also like crime, who would do it? And I was like, Sam will do it.
That's brilliant. And you've worked full time as well, so it's amazing. This, keep them going all this time.
Yeah, I think that's what's hard, and that's when we feel so bad if we're like missing a week or if we're late putting it out. But it's like on top of we both work full time 40-odd hour weeks, and we're trying to maintain, you know, life.
Caitlin's one of the busiest people I know. Like,
me and Sam never see each other in person. Like we go
once a month.
We live in the same. You know, we live about 20 minutes from each other, but we're both so busy. Yeah, with life and family and work and social, and then it's like trying to do this as well. But we have had the conversation before, generally, of like, should we stop it now, or, you know, lockdown's kind of done, but we've never wanted to do that. We both absolutely love doing it, and like, yeah, we'd love to do it. Do you know, that's actually, I was going to say, yeah, we'd love to do it as a job, but actually we both really like our careers as well. So we still do this simply for like a hobby and the fun of it. And I think that what makes it nice is we're not feeling the pressure to put episodes out and to make money and to get engagement. Like, we do this simply because we love doing it. And that's why the fact that people listen to us were more like, oh, wow, than actually like, please listen to us, which is nice. It's a good place to be in.
That is really good. Okay, but if we don't enjoy doing it, there's no point anymore, is there? So
No.
I'm glad you are still feeling like that.
Yeah, it's great. It is really great.
yeah.
All right, then. I'm really excited to hear the story today.
Yeah, so this is me, Sam. I'm going to tell us a case. If you end up listening to the Crime Pod, know that half the time I'm telling you a case from about 200 years ago, because I'm so like last minute and just like, oh yeah, I'll do a nice Victorian one. But no, this one is actually, it's from the 80s. Now,
that's so modern for you.
I know.
Wow. My goodness.
It is quite a short case, but I think because obviously I knew that we were going to be speaking for quite a bit anyway in this case, because, you know, introducing ourselves and getting to know you, Donna, and things like that. So it's not a big case. Now, it's actually, I do think it's important, and I think it's one that should still be heard. it was actually as well quite hard to get a lot of information on this from online and things. And I'd heard it from one of our listeners over at the Crime Pod who recommended it. So I will say a huge thank you to Tracy. I think if I didn't, she'd kill me. So thank you very much to Tracy for this, because she was around at this time. I'm not calling her old or anything, but I mean, she was part of this. So Dawn, obviously I don't know your age or anything, but do you have connections with Edinburgh? Are you from Edinburgh?
No, I'm not.
No, I didn't think so with your accent. I didn't want to say so. But yeah, so this might be completely new to you too. So I guess I will just begin if you're both okay with that. Because I've rambled on enough. Now, so in 1984, Annabel's, it was a nightclub in Semple Street, which is in Fountainbridge. And that's kind of in the centre of town, just off of kind of like, you know, Lothian Road, Princess Street, all the main roads that are famous to, I would say, Edinburgh. And it was one of the capital's busiest and liveliest places to be. You know, it was a nightclub. Everybody wanted to go to it. You know, it was a big crowd. And also in the 80s, Edinburgh was huge on nightclubs. I think when you hear stories from like our parents or anyone that was around that time, it was like, oh yeah, we were drinking here, 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 and here. Like, it was a big scene.
My mum loves to do a thing of like, you'll name a modern like bar, I'll be like, or a club, I'll be like, oh, I was here, and she'll be like, that used to be the whatever in the civic, and I'm like, right, yeah, that was its name about 5 times ago, mum.
Yeah.
But she will be like, oh, I remember when it was, and it seemed like the Edinburgh nightlife was a lot more than it is now, to be fair, because there's probably only a handful of clubs that we'd be interested in, to be fair, none at all really, but back then my mum seems to have been out all the time.
To all of them.
All the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's about.
Yep. So, on Friday, the 27th of April, 1984, 19-year-old Pauline Reilly, which was the club's day manageress, and she was the daughter of the owner of the club, John Reilly, who was also known, well, he was known as Paddy Reilly. She was working in the office. Now, Pauline, she was a former pupil of George Heriot's School, which is a private school in Edinburgh. And fun fact, it was originally a school and home for orphaned children, which I did not know. I learned this. That. And this school, I don't know, Dawn, if you've ever seen it, but it's like, not Hogwarts, but I mean, it's a beautiful, all our private schools, I must say, are beautiful, stunning buildings. They're really, really old. And like, you can understand, I guess, because people are paying a lot of money to go there. Yeah. But it became a fee-paying school, like a public school, back in 1886. So it's a very old school. Now, Pauline, she spent her days doing administrative tasks for the club, and she was taking telephone calls and just dealing with advanced bookings, often with her dog by her side. Now, Pauline's father, Paddy, he last saw her alive that lunchtime on Friday, the 27th of April, 1984, when he dropped into the office to sign paychecks. Because again, you got your paycheck on, like, which I'm like, I can't comprehend, but, you know, that was a thing. Yeah. Now, when he returned at 6:40 p.m, that exact same day on his way to restock the bar, he was met by a dreadful sight. Pauline had been strangled with a rope made of sash cord, wound 3 times around her throat. Her body was then left partially suspended from a spiral staircase, and more than £3,000 was missing from the safe. Now, this was not a suicide. Pauline had been working alone in the office, but outside, you know, it was a busy Friday afternoon with lots of traffic and passers-by, so surely someone must have seen something. Now, the murder squad detectives immediately tried to trace 2 men in their early 20s of, they said, swarthy appearance. Now, possibly they said they were from the Middle East, but they could not confirm this at the time. But they had been seen 2 hours earlier standing at Semple Street at the doorway of the club, waiting to get into the office. Now, a dark car with 3 occupants was also parked nearby at the time. There was no sign of forced entry to the premises, and evidence suggested there was a strong chance that Pauline actually knew her killer, which I think all of us have done enough of these podcasts to know that that's practically the case with the majority of murders, sadly.
Even if she didn't know them, though, they could have come with like a story. They could have said that they were coming to check the boiler or the lights or something, and that her dad had arranged it. But I feel like even if it was a robbery, that's a brutal way to leave somebody. Even if it's a robbery that's gone wrong, normally you hear somebody's just kind of been, I don't say just, but stabbed or shot or whatnot, and they're kind of just left. But the fact they've like strung her up on a staircase, that doesn't seem to me like a robbery that then they've had to kill her, and it's all been, that seems very kind of planned in my opinion. I don't know about you, Dom, but that's how it's kind of coming across to me.
Excessive as well, isn't it? It's a hell of a thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, just you hang tight. You might have that exact same opinion in a few minutes' time. But obviously, Paddy, Pauline's father, he was completely like grief-stricken. He couldn't believe his eyes, and he was saying that he often warned her not to work there with the door of the safe open. But like any child and parent relationship, let's be honest, you don't always take on board what your parent says. You're like, yeah, no bother. But you don't do it. So it's kind of like exactly what's happened here. Now, Paddy then went on to offer a £5,000 reward for any information leading to the conviction of Pauline's killer. Now, police investigators found no sign of a struggle in the office, and the pathologist suggested she had been standing when the rope was applied from behind her, and so she may not have even seen or heard her attacker, and Pauline would have lost consciousness within seconds of all of this happening. Now, found in the office was a piece of paper with the name, address and telephone number of Shu-Kee Leung, a Hong Kong-born waiter at the Dragonara. Now, I've been trying to pronounce this like all the time doing my research, so bear with me. It's not even that hard to pronounce.
But this is what I said earlier about our mispronunciations. You're seeing it live. This is how it goes.
Now, it's the Dragonara Hotel. I hope it's called that. Now, this led to police to believe that this could be the killer, and so they arrested him on suspicion of the murder. Now, a side note about this hotel. Now, Shu-Kee worked at this, but have you ever heard of the Dragonara Hotel before?
Nope.
Never in my life. Is that still in Edinburgh?
Well, it's still in Edinburgh, and I hadn't heard of it at all. But after a quick Google, it turns out that it was actually one of Edinburgh's poshest hotels back in the 80s, where it opened its doors to guests such as David Bowie, Elizabeth Taylor, Boy George, Wham, you name it. Like, all of these names.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, it was just around from the Scottish National Art Galleries off Belford Road, which is the galleries that are like, you know, there's one on each side of the road.
Yeah. Is it still there?
Now, it's now called the Britannia Hotel. And it has a TripAdvisor rating of 2.5.
Shut up.
So
Britannia.
Yeah. So
oh my God, no, it's not.
Changed.
I don't believe
that
you.
That is that hotel. So...
That hotel looks horrific.
Well, that's
honestly,
why it's got
is one of those dogs that you drive
rating.
past and you're like, oh my God. My mum, back to her again, she stayed there on a Christmas night out years ago and said
really
it was amazing.
Did she get bed bugs? No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
Again, no, she said that was again, I'm going to say the 90s or something. So that might have been when it was still kind of in its posh
prime.
Yeah, in its peak. But that is honestly, Dawn, after this, and everyone listening, you need to Google that hotel. It's such a shame, but it just looks like the type of place that you're like, how is that not shut down? Mm-hmm. The only kind of people I've seen it is when it's like tours of people that have probably done like an Edinburgh by coach tour and they've just not known where the hotel is. Genuinely, that's all you see. It's like, what a shame. I can't believe that, Sam. That's actually thrown me.
Yeah, because
I was picturing this palace. I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, I was honestly, it was just mental.
That's mad.
Yeah. Now, back to Shu-Kee. Now, the police asked him how the piece of paper with his name, address and contact number ended up on Pauline's desk, but obviously he denied all knowledge of it being there. Now, it was a possibility that it was left there by his wife, Nora, who was a former barmaid at Annabel's, so that's the club, who had left in August 1983, but she did remain a frequent visitor because, you know, we're now in April 1984, so you're like, that's quite a lot of months, but maybe she kept going and she was obviously friends with everyone, so maybe it went on the desk, but hang tight. Now, the police questioned him and asked if he had threatened Pauline with a knife that was stolen from the Dragonara and that he'd then strangled her, but he denied doing any of this. Now, this didn't put the police off of the scent and they were not giving up and they kept Shu-Kee as the main suspect. On the day after the murder, Shu-Kee had been heard boasting to a fellow waiter that he had won £2,000 at a casino. Now, in 1984, and nowadays as well, £2,000 is a lot of money. The manager of the Royal Chimes Casino, which was in Royal Terrace, told how, he is actually a regular, but he's a small-time gambler. So on a Sunday, he would gamble small amounts. But on the actual Sunday, just after Pauline's murder, he had placed an unusually large bet. And every bet that he did was about £200 a time in cash. Now, we all know that's a large bet to make. Yeah. I'm like, I play blackjack or roulette or whatever, but you're like, I'll do £1. I am not
200. No,
yeah, no.
But even back then as well, so £200 would have been a lot of money now. And to kind of do that on a weekly basis, that's insane.
Yeah. Now, obviously, he did smaller amounts. Maybe he did £1 like us, but he didn't definitely do £200 every time, apart from this time after Pauline's death. Okay. Now, a few days later, a croupier cashed in chips for him worth £2,000. Now, this raises suspicion as, where was he getting this money from all of a sudden? Yes, he won it, but you would have had to put on quite a substantial bet to get that money. Now, evidence was building up against him, and it was building up fast. Police found his fingerprints on the scrap of paper with his name and contact details on it, and he was asked to provide specimens of his handwriting. At this point, Shu-Kee was said to have become agitated, and officers suspected he was trying to disguise his writing. And so, this was not going in his favour. Now, I must admit, when I'm asked to, sign something, my best pal, Katie, shout out, her and Nick just got married, and I had to sign the, the marriage certificate. And when you're asked to sign something, my hand was pure shaking. It was hardly my signature. So I kind of get where it was coming from. My writing's not the same, but you just think,
especially if you are trying to hide it as well. I was just thinking that how difficult it would be to try and forge different signature, fine, but different handwriting. That would actually be more difficult than it sounds. Be.
My signature's never the same twice, but the handwriting is the same, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. So that wasn't going well for him. And then the gambling larger amounts of money than usual. His fingerprints were on the piece of paper. He was getting agitated, along with further information that came to light that he was in debt of around £1,000. So this ended up leading, so all of these things adding up, ended up leading to his full arrest, and he was then to stand trial for the murder of 19-year-old Pauline Reilly. Now, while Shu-Kee was being remanded in prison awaiting his trial, a rumour was flying around saying that Paddy, which is Pauline's dad, had put out a £30,000 contract on Shu-Kee, which ended up reaching the prison. So he knew that there was something out to get him, so that would be petrifying, and that would have put him in danger whilst in the prison. But when the trial had begun, Paddy was asked by the judge if this was true. However, he strongly denied this, and he said that was just a rumour that someone had made up.
See, right, I do understand that he probably would want to hide that, to be fair. However, if you thought that was going to help with your daughter's murder, though, I feel like you shouldn't be admitting that you do stuff like that. However, if that's going to then help them catch your daughter's murderer, would you not be more willing to give that information?
Yeah.
That's a really difficult one, because he then might get in trouble, probably a lot of trouble. But if this is going to be to help the police then figure out what's happened, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then also it was a stake on Shu-Kee's head. It was literally I'll give whoever wants to kill him 30 grand. Not whoever wants to find the killer. That was the 5 grand that he did at the start.
No. I know, but what I'm saying is, so the police have asked him about that 30 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's not going to admit it, but then would that not help the police's case finding his daughter? Am I just getting this totally wrong?
Yeah, I can't think how that would help.
Yeah, I'm with Dawn.
Sorry. I'm sitting here staying quiet thinking, I'm not getting this.
Nah, just call me out. I'm talking rubbish. That's what rubbish was saying. Sorry, I thought that would then help the police know that he was... Never mind, carry on.
Yeah, you're talking shite.
I thought, I was in my head there thinking, I've got a great idea. And
I was trying to get into your head, but it just wasn't working.
Fair enough. Honestly, fair enough done. I just thought if he admitted it, the police would then be like, okay, this was a reason why your daughter was killed, but I'm just talking shit.
Yeah, you are. Okay, moving on.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Now, also at the trial, Paddy had said that he knew of no one who would want to murder his daughter, but he agreed that during his time in the competitive disco business, which clubs, he could have made friends and, maybe some enemies. Now, at his trial, Shu-Kee denied murdering Pauline, as we all know, but he did not deny being there at the murder scene, and this is where he starts to make his case. So he claimed that he had been forced by gangsters to hang up Pauline's body. He said she was already dead when he entered Annabel's disco, taken there by a recent casino acquaintance called Mr. Hassan, who had twice loaned him money after he had lost all of his money, because we know he's a gambler. Now, Shu-Kee claimed he had repaid half of the loan, but on the afternoon of the murder, Mr. Hassan had phoned asking for the remainder and suggested they meet near the disco, the club. It was then, he claimed, that he was offered a lift to Annabel's. The door was opened by a man in a white t-shirt, and Shu-Kee saw a girl lying in the middle of the room. Quote, "I see this guy walk to the corner near the window and he was putting a pair of white gloves on," he told the High Court at the trial. "I was really shocked and did not know what to do. I asked them, 'What's happened to the girl?' And they said, 'We killed her and that's what we do for a living.'" So we're dealing with gangsters here, or like hard men, shall we say. Now,
he's talking more rubbish than I just did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Possibly. Now, Shu-Kee added that they told him they wanted to get him involved to be one of them, and said it was easy work with lots of money. When he said he wanted to leave, he was told, "You don't think we would let you go just like that?" He then claimed that the man in the white t-shirt produced a gun and said they knew where his wife and child lived. If he did not do as he was told, he would be killed. Now, Shu-Kee was told to write down his name and address, and then he was told to move the body to the stairs and to hang her up. "I was that frightened," he claimed. "I can't even think why they wanted me to hang her up, for she is dead already. It doesn't make sense at all, but I just wanted to get out, get it over with." As he did, he was told he was photographed as, just a little guarantee, because we've now got you and the crime, not us. And then he was given £500 and a bag of coins, and he was then driven to his job at the Dragonara. Now, I get people maybe thinking, why on earth did he follow through with this? But let's be real, if someone was pointing a gun at me, I would literally do anything they asked me. But was this true?
No.
Who knows?
No. It's just too elaborate. It's too elaborate, and come on. But what did he say? He says, if it doesn't make sense, then it's not right, is it?
Yeah, I know that you're saying that, Sam, that if someone pointed a gun at you, you would do it, but would you not then? The photo bit's throwing me a wee bit as well, because where is this photo then?
Yeah,
but then you wouldn't, if you were the people telling them to do this, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, here's the photo, by the way."
Okay.
Because you'd be like holding that against them, being like, "We are not coming forward because we're actually the baddies here." You know what I mean? They'd be keeping that for collateral.
But surely he could have then gone to the police and said, "This is what's just happened to me, and there's actually a photo of me. I'm opening up to it and saying," do you know, I know.
But I mean, if a gang was telling me to do something, I wouldn't be going to the police on them.
But why have you got to write your name and address down? It's like it just doesn't make sense.
Him. It doesn't make sense.
But then that doesn't make sense at all. Like, why you would write his name and address, because killers don't walk about leaving their name and address at crime scenes.
No, and you've got the photo of him, so what do you need his name and address? No, not adding up, Sam. Sorry.
And then, but also as well, like, how were they not seen? How many people were seen? Who was already there? This seems to be the fact that they've then killed her, took him to this crime scene. They're just assuming for a long time she was going to be on her own.
Yeah.
As well, because her dad couldn't come back any time. Someone could have gone in to visit her. A friend could come round. I don't know, she had a partner or whatever. But that's also, you're not going to spend that long with somebody lying there to then string them out. This seems like it would have taken a long time, and you're probably not going to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And why?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, hang tight.
Oh, right.
There might be a reason.
There's more.
There's more. Now, there might not be a reason, so you might be hanging tight for a long time. But anyway, the next day, Shu-Kee claimed that Mr. Hassan phoned and he was taken to a flat in Toll Cross, where the man, which is practically just round from the club for reference, where the man who had worn the white t-shirt told him that a knife from the Dragonara hotel and a piece of paper with his name and address had been left at the disco office. So now it's like he's saying, this guy left all of that, but as the police know, his fingerprints are on here. So that part, as you have both said, it's not adding up what he is saying. Now, when he asked if they were putting the blame on him, he was told it would be enough to get the attention of the police and then give these people that are making Shu-Kee do all of this, that would give them time to escape. They are gangsters, he claimed. They would do anything they would think is necessary. He added that if he was cleared of murder, he would have to flee the country in fear of his life. He had told the truth, he said, because while awaiting trial, he had heard that rumour, the one that was going about, that there was a £30,000 contract out on his life. So why would there be a contract out on his life? Possibly because he just killed someone's daughter, but, he's now saying this is down to the gangsters. But the real question here is, where had Shu-Kee come by all that money that he had? It was, he said, gambling winnings of up to £4,000, some of which police found hidden in his car in the hotel car park. But how on earth did he have the money to bet in the first place to win such a large sum? Yes, he had £500 for the killing, apparently, but that's not enough to make £4,000 and more.
And he owed them 1,000, he said as well. So why are they giving him more money if they already owed them?
Yeah, I'm not really getting that, to be fair.
Yeah. Now, after just a 7-day trial, the jury returned a majority verdict of guilty, and Shu-Kee Leung was sentenced to life in prison. Now, yes, this is where the story ends, with the man being found guilty, being put behind bars. However, there's still quite a few loose ends. I think if you probably both feel the same way.
A lot.
Yeah.
Not a few. Got hundreds.
Now, were the mysterious Mr. Hassan and the gangsters the men seen outside the club 2 hours before Pauline's death? That wouldn't look good, at all. And they were, obviously, there was a car seen outside with a couple of people in it. Now, that wasn't really looked into much after the police had made up their minds that they had arrested the guy that they thought was the killer. So that was never looked into. So it's a possibility it could have been them. Now, could Shu-Kee actually have been strong enough to hang up a body, whether dead or alive, on his own? Because especially if Pauline was already dead, like he was saying in court, a dead weight is a heavy weight, no matter the size of the person.
You wouldn't, is he saying he hung it up completely alone? That is, no matter his size or whatever, that would be very, very difficult to manoeuvre and to manage to tie the rope itself, put it round her neck and then move her over a stair. That would be very, very difficult. I would say almost impossible to do yourself.
Yep. And then
which is also something nowadays that probably, it sounds horrible, they probably would have got, the defence might have got him actually to, his defence would have probably got him to demonstrate that, to be fair. Yeah. At the trial and all that, with a sandbag or something, they would have probably got something her weight and seen if a person could do that alone, because that doesn't sound easy at all.
Yeah, I agree. But then also as well with that, why hang up her body at all? Could it have been some kind of warning? Now with that, this might be, where we might get some answers, I don't know. But is it a kind of warning? So, Paddy Reilly, he was actually a gangster, just to say the least. He was a hard man, whatever.
I am shocked.
Yes. Now, had he made an enemy, and was this some sort of sign? Now, a bit of a side note, but it's kind of still relevant, but I dig a wee bit deeper than some stuff, and my facts aren't always fun facts. But back in the 80s in Edinburgh, Peter Williamson, Billy Boswell and John Paddy Reilly, they were top players with influence on the scene, so throughout the city, all the way from the 1960s. Now, it was rumoured, though it was never proven, because, these people, they they don't leave a trace, but that they'd made their money carrying out armed raids on post offices. Now, like Paddy Reilly, the other two, they invested in pubs and clubs and sometimes into saunas. Now, Edinburgh, they had quite a liberal approach to the sex industry, so saunas were relatively safe investments. You know, they weren't properly going to get shut down by the police or anything like that. So kind of like, I don't want to say it, but all those sweet shops that sell American candy, it's a front. Let's be real. Now, with like, that's just my opinion, obviously.
Yeah,
now,
of course, yeah.
Paddy being one of the top cats in his turf, was there a connection here? Is it all just sheer coincidence? Was it in fact just a robbery gone wrong that turned into murder? Was there a gangster connection? Because
I think to string somebody's body up like that, yes.
It's a message, that, isn't it?
But if it was a serial killer or something, why is that the only one? Why, like, do you know, it's not like he went on to do it again, let's say, but also if it was a robbery gone wrong, why are you then taking the time to string somebody up when you could get caught? You've known that nobody's going to be in there at that time apart from her. This was planned, and I think this was an absolute warning, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. And knowing that her dad was also a gangster, and it could have been from could just between inter-gangs, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Did the club shut down, Samantha, I take it?
No, actually, I believe in 88 or 86 or something, it changed name. Pretty much like everything. Tracy Hill's next name. But yeah, no, it's like everything in Edinburgh. It gets taken over, gets changed names, gets a new revamp or whatever. But one other final thing as well I'll say is that if Pauline had been alive when the rope was placed around her neck, why hadn't she fought back? Why had she been just so passive?
Well, what was her cause of death?
Well, there's no evidence of a struggle. So Shu-Kee's story could have been legit that, you know, she was found on the floor dead beforehand, but it's so far-fetched that it doesn't sound true. And with her cause of death, it's not, I don't believe it was from asphyxiation from the rope. But I Googled and I couldn't actually find anything, which again is also just so suspicious. But I mean, like, I don't have a proper cause of death.
Wow.
So it was maybe like one of those ones where it's like a wiped over or someone was paid off, or there's a lot of unanswered questions.
For 40, what is the 27th of April, did you say?
Yeah, so
40 years.
A lot of years. Yeah.
This year, yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually this year.
40 years on CrimeCon Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even mean that.
I was going to say, Sam, this is the most planning you've ever done for this podcast.
Thanks, Sam.
Like, I work in finance.
I know, look at that.
Math is poor.
But yeah, that is a lot of food for thought, to be fair. I feel like I'm going to be lying awake at night thinking about that, because there's definitely... Do I believe that he was involved? Yes, but I don't believe he was the only person involved.
Why, if she's already dead, why are you stringing her out? It doesn't make sense. That bit doesn't. And surely, I mean, I don't know because I'm not, but if you're unconscious, been knocked unconscious, and then got a rope around and you're suffocated, isn't your brain like triggering? You're like, shit, what's happening?
Yeah.
There was no fighting back. You would have noticed there'd been you'd be pulling on her neck and all that. So,
but then even for a message, like if we're talking gangs, you're probably talking like, why wouldn't they do something like keep her hostage? Try and get money out of him. Try and do something like. I feel like it's the way she was found that's not making sense to me at all. I'm not getting that.
Make it more obvious, wouldn't you, that it was actually a message rather than just we're not quite sure, isn't it? You'd want that to be quite clear to the person you're sending the message to. So
absolutely,
no, that is.
It's food for thought, and it's one to think about. And I think, the case it's short, but it's one that's not publicly that much, it's not around, like, you know, when we do a podcast and you see a lot of other people have done it and we just all kind of do the same one in different formats sort of thing, but this one I couldn't find anything, so it's one that should be out there. It's definitely food for thought. Was the right person convicted? Just others weren't also, like, it's one to think about.
No, definitely. Well, thank you so much for having us, Dawn, and thank you so much for telling the story, Sam. That was amazing.
It was a good one.
This has been a great opportunity as well for us to chat with you and for you to listen to us chat on. So yeah, we really appreciate that. Thank you. And for anyone listening that's wanting to listen to Dawn and not us, I totally understand. Dawn will be doing a case for us as well over at the Crime Pod, so head over there to hear her case, which we are looking forward to. Really
well,
exciting.
Thanks for that nice roundup. That's us. We're finished.
Thank you so much, Rana. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks for coming on.
Scottish Murders is a production of Clurin Ton.